project, you're going to open all of your pictures, which would be your chips, lettuce, slice of bread, bacon, tomato, and the plate. The plate will be the one that we start with first, and then we'll drag each other item onto the screen. So we'll start with a slice of bread. Click and just drag it down into your workspace, and it'll open up in a smaller version. And then you're going to select the bread. There's two different ways to select. I'll show you. The first one, I'll use the quick selection tool, which we've already used in class. With the quick selection tool, you just drag it around on what it is you're trying to select here. And we'll get the bread selected there, and then we're going to drag it over to the plate by holding down Control and Alt, getting our move tool, hold down Control Alt, and drag it over to the plate to move it. Alright, once it's there, you'll notice that now we have a layer for our plate and a layer for our bread. If you want to name these layers, you just double click. Oops, I'm not going to do that one. Okay, then my bread is a little just straight up and down, so I want to rotate it a little bit, so I need to make sure I'm on the bread layer. Before you do anything over here, always make sure that you're on the right layer here, because anything you do is going to happen right here. So with being there, I'm going to go into Free Transform, which is Control T. That will turn that on, and that will allow me to rotate the bread a little bit. I could also resize it, whatever I want to do. Hit Enter when you've got it where you want it, and then we're ready to move on with our next step. So we have the lettuce here. With the lettuce, I'm going to use the magic wand to select it. So I'll click on the white space. You can see it gets some of it. I'm going to hold down Shift and click on the other white spaces until it's all done. And now you can see that actually it's the white space that's selected. So I'm going to invert that. So I go to Select and Inverse. And now it's just the lettuce. So I'll do the same thing. I'm going to get my Move tool, hold down Control and Alt, and drag it over onto the plate. The lettuce is a little bit big. It kind of hides most of the bread. So I'm going to resize it by using the Free Transform tool. Again, make sure I'm on the lettuce layer, and I'm going to push Control T. And now this time, whenever I get ready to resize, you need to hold down Shift and take it from the corner. If you don't, that will keep it all in perspective. So the sides all the way around will stay together. Alright, then I'll just move my lettuce onto my sandwich. Next thing I'll do is the tomato. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to drag it down and select it. Whatever your favorite selection method is will be fine. Drag it over. And bacon will be next. And I'll just select it here. Drag it over. Now that bacon's pretty small in comparison to my other things, so I'm going to resize it, make it bigger. Okay. And the last thing we're going to do is add a condiment. So you can choose mustard, mayonnaise, or ketchup, whatever your favorite would be. And we're going to squirt some here on our sandwich. Now, if I do it right now, I would be putting it on the bacon layer, and it needs its own layer. Everything needs its own layer. So I'm going to insert a new layer. So down here at the bottom, you'll see the new layer button. It's the second one from the right. It looks like a piece of paper with the edge turned up. Click on that, and there's my new layer. And you can name it mustard or whatever you're going to name it. Alright, I'm going to use my brush tool, And up here, make sure you've got a hard brush. So I've got it at 100%, and that's probably about the right size. I've got it at 13. And then you'll go over here and, white or yellow or red, whatever color you're going to use. I'll use mustard, so I'll start here and go over and just squirt my mustard. It's kind of in a little, okay, there's my symbol. Now that looks pretty flat in comparison to the other layers of my sandwich. So I'm going to add a layer style to that. So I'm still on my mustard layer. I'm going to click the FX button at the bottom of layers, and I'll choose Bevel Emboss. Now that brings up this window, and you can already see kind of how it changed my mustard look a little bit, and you can adjust some things with that. That doesn't look very good. It looks like rotten mustard, but anyway, you get the idea. You can kind of mess around with some of these things here, and well, that's not what you want. Anyway, you can mess around with some of this stuff and create the mustard that you want. Then click OK when you have it all done. And the last thing we're going to do is bring in our chips. So you're going to go online and find your favorite brand of chips and download that picture. And when I bring it over here, it's going to be much bigger than my sandwich, and I have a really small screen I'm working with here. So I'm going to make sure I don't drop it over here, or it's going to be difficult to work with. So Control Alt, oops, I need to get Control Alt. I want to move it right here on my plate, like so. And I need to resize it. So Control T, and hold down Shift to keep it all in perspective there. Make it about the appropriate size. When you transform something, you have to hit Enter at the end. If not, it will ask you if you want to apply that. So that's what it keeps doing. I might kind of turn that a little bit so it kind of looks a little bit more. Alright, and there's my sandwich. So now you would just simply export it as a JPEG or PNG file. And that would be it.